fabulous. Oh, not sure where that came from. Have I made that up? Yeah? You know, I did want one of those great big booming X Factor voices to welcome me onto the stage. Yeah. Cost of living crisis. I've had to make cuts. Honestly, nurses introducing themselves at cabaret events. That's the state of today's NHS. What's next? They'll be charging us for blue tick verification on our name badges. Now, this is Extravaganza 3, Fringe Benefits. Are we all in the right place? Yeah. You'd be surprised, honestly. I don't want anyone sitting there being confused thinking, Duffy's at the skids if she's retrained as a nurse. I can assure you, I am not Duffy, and I will not be singing. I make my ears bleed. Besides, times would have to be hard to go into nursing, yeah? Honestly. Like I say, we did not train for the money. I trained for the promise of free drugs and sex with cute doctors. Yeah, that was a mistake. There's only so many cute doctors. As for the free drugs, well, you can hardly get spangled on paracetamol. All the good stuff's locked away and signed out. There's no trust anymore. Now, you look a right lively bunch, so, by way of a great big raucous cheer, who's seen me before? Ah, yeah, that does warm me cockles. And I do see some lovely familiar faces in the audience. Especially this lovely handsome face over here. Hello, Russell, how are you? Are you doing well? Are you ready to be entertained?
Absolutely.
Got a fantastic lineup tonight, you know. I've doubled up on my tenor lady just in case. And how's everyone else doing? Are we fit and well? Can we keep it that way? I don't do drama. Medical emergencies freak me out. Honestly, our matron Mary said, in those situations, just do what you do best. It worked. The next cardiac arrest I made a fantastic cup of tea. Who am I kidding? It was a dirty martini. I had to steady my nerves. Some nurses, they live for it. First whiff of trouble, they're in there quick as a whippet. But you know, resuscitation is very much like sex. If you don't get the right rhythm and depth, it's just a lot of flopping around till someone tells you to stop. Have we got any nurses in? Oh yeah, I didn't think we could afford to leave the house these days. Is the food bank closed? I've blown my budget already, honestly, yeah. I've overspent on bling. I've discovered this place in Brighton. They're just tooth gems. It's called Hell's Teeth. With a name like that, how could you resist? Honestly. So, I'm reliving my 90s tooth gem fantasy. Believe it or not, I do vaguely remember the 90s. I say vaguely. I was off my face on E for most of them. And I've been asked, is it appropriate for a nurse to have tooth gems? Will I not get in trouble at work? Well, the only person who tells me off at work is Scaredy Mary the matron. Yeah, there's no danger of her ever seeing them. They only show when I smile. How can I describe Mary? She's like a cross between Kim Woodburn and Hitler. Only with a slightly thicker moustache. You see, as a general rule, matrons usually fall into one of two categories. They're either old school strict, or they're as mad as a box of frogs. In fact, I think it's time I treated you all to a poem. Oh yes, I do poetry as well. Oh yeah, multi-talented. I could have been the next poet laureate. Although of course they are appointed by the monarch on advice from the PM, so no chance of that ever happening, is there? We know how much they hate nurses. More chance of Florence Nightingale coming back as a Duffy Tribute Act. This is called the morning handover. I can hear the call bell ringing as I turn up for my shift. There is someone somewhere singing, and the night staff look quite miffed. So we start our morning meeting, take handover for the day. With my optimism fleeting, the sister starts to say, that woman you are hearing, well, she's been like that all night. With her tones less than endearing, won't shut up without a fight. Of course we've tried to reason, but it's falling on deaf ears. Like a cat that's just in season and soon yowls will bring you tears. She's had a visit from the doctor, and she gave him quite the scare from the moment that he clocked her in a scanty underwear. We tried to give sedation, but she instantly refused. Then she'd bark like an Alsatian, which has had us quite confused. We've offered her distractions of juice and tea to drink, and hidden our reactions as she's poured them down the sink. By dawn she had me shouting, and for that I feel quite bad, but there really is no doubting that this woman's rather mad. Which bed is she in, sister? I inquire without defeat. It appears you may have missed her from the day's handover sheet. Oh, this woman's not a patient, dear, I'm afraid it's far more bleak. She is to be the matron here, she starts the job this week. Thank you. Sadly, Mary doesn't fall into the mad category. No, she's got this really annoying habit. She likes to put on a uniform and act like a bitch. Always telling me off for something. Oh, last week, calls me into her office, accused me of being unprofessional. Me? Unprofessional? She said it's not appropriate for a nurse to be romantically involved with a doctor on the same ward. Do I look like a qualified yesterday? I put her straight. I said, Mary, that was nothing more than casual sex. What nurse in the right mind would date a doctor? They're hard work. Last doctor I dated, handsome chap. He was 6 foot and 4 inches. Sadly, that was 2 separate measurements. But he was a surgeon. I thought what he lacked in size he'll make up for with his nimble fingers. Couldn't have been more wrong. After operating all day, they were worn out. Used to claim they got cramps. That came to an end when he mistook the hand sanitizer for lube. Never moved so quick in my life. Got one of the junior doctors after me now. Suggested taking me away for a romantic weekend in London. He said, I want to take you up the Shard. You don't have to ask me twice. I said, meet me in the sluice in half an hour. And the building. We won't be dating. Despite the faults though, people do adore these doctors. Oh yes, especially the patients. They're like gods to them. Given the choice of a newly qualified doctor or a nurse with over 20 years experience, they choose the doctor every time. I get it. Some say it comes from a history of the NHS being a doctor-led patriarchal institution. It's bollocks. I blame television. Grey's Anatomy. McDreamy. More like McCready when I was watching. You see, a doctor's image is always smooth and sexy. Some nurses have a problem with this, but let's be honest. One has the power to dish out some really decent drugs. The other can't have a conversation without inquiring about your bowels. That's why nurses don't date one another. 2 consultants, a power couple. 2 nurses, a running commentary on the Bristol stool chart. If you're not familiar with the stool chart, it's a scale of poo rated from 1 to 7 based on its form. I'm working on my own revised edition, a sort of sequel. I'm calling it Brandy's Bowel Bonanza. You see, the original scale only focused on texture. Mine adds in several other dimensions. Like colour, scent, taste. It's a work in progress. I remember this one patient's movement. I had to mark it down as a number 13. There was something about it that wasn't right. Felt unlucky, like there was evil lurking there. Confused Mary no end. She'd never heard of a type 13 stool. She fainted when I showed her the picture I posted on Instagram. I had taken the edge off with a filter, but you could still grasp its essence. In fact, if you look close enough, I'd swear there was a face in those ridges. Without white froth. Imagine if you could read stools like you could tea leaves. You might be a wonderful skill to have as a nurse. She'd only come in with a cute angina. Well, I caught a glimpse. It wasn't winning any beauty contest. Now, recently it has been brought to my attention that I talk an awful lot about nurses and doctors, and I'm missing out on somebody very important. Now, who do you think I've been told is the most important person in hospital? Patients, apparently. Now, I might be opening a massive can of worms here, but I want to speak to one of you, right? Now, who here has been a patient in hospital? I'm not talking about the time you stubbed your toe and went to A&E. I mean a proper inpatient on a ward overnight. Anyone? Oh. Here's one. I do know you have actually. Yes. What's your name, Alex? This is Alex. Hello, Alex. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to embarrass you. Make you tell everyone why you were in hospital. Your rectal prolapse is nobody's business but all I want to know is the answer to one simple question so I know what type of patient you are. Yeah? And it involves the nurse call bell. You know that buzzer that makes us come running? Yeah? Now, Alex, picture it. You're on a ward. You're in bed. You've got one of them funny gowns on with a split up the back and everyone can see your dingleberries. Suddenly, this vision in navy blue comes gliding down the ward towards you. Oh, she's like an angel on earth. Let's call her Brandy. Now, this stunning creature who happens to be your nurse, right, she comes over, tucks you in, yeah, gives you some paracetamol. You're not in any pain, because she gives you some anyway to add to the drama of it all. It may even have been prescribed, who knows? No one can read those charts. Then she clears all the crap off your bedside table that you should have left at home. Yeah? It's a hospital, not a holiday camp. And she leaves the call bell on the table, within sight, within reach. Now she's off back to the nurse's station to flirt with the consultant. She fancies a bit, she's worked hard, she's earned it. Now, multiple choice. The moment that nurse's back's turned, what do you do with that bell? Right? Do you A, move it further away? Do you put it on the side, or put it back on the wall? Do you B, move it closer? Maybe tuck it under your cover or hold it on your lap. Yeah? Or do you C, leave it where it is? A, right. Now, I'm not going to buzzer shame you in front of everybody. I think we should all join in. So give me a cheer if you would move it further away. It's just you, Alex, you're out there. Bloody hell, there's no support for him, is there? Yes. Would you move it closer? Bloody hell. And give me a cheer if you would do the correct thing and leave it where the nurse left it. The clue's in the question. Right, see if you can recognise yourself in this poem. Oh yeah, there's another poem. I tell you, rhymes are like crap to me. There are 3 types of patient one finds on a ward, each with their own special trait. If you've been one yourself, this might strike a chord. Allow me to demonstrate. The trick is on telling each one from the other. On that I can be very clear. It's what they will do with that nurse calling buzzer and whether it sits far or near. Type 1, independent, will move it away. They'll tuck that thing right out of sight. They tend to be older, more set in their ways. Stay silent all day and all night. They wouldn't ring that bell even if they were dying. So worried they're seen as a pain. Instead, they take pride because they think they're complying and putting the young uns to shame. Now, quite like these patients, I welcome the peace with that buzzer hooked back on the wall. You can give them light duties like changing the sheets. It just isn't much fun when they fall. Too much paperwork. Type 2 are delightful, the sensible ones. They'll leave that bell where it was placed. They've got good awareness on when they should call and don't have to do so in haste. They act as our eyes when we're rushed off our feet to help keep the others in check. Providing a warning, albeit discreet, they'll buzz when type 1 hits the deck. Practically perfect, these patients are blessed, as much of a joy as they seem. They exercise caution with no undue stress and act as a nurse's wet dream. Last of the bunch, the needy type 3. What a few of you in truly a league of their own. They'll cling to that bell and they won't let it be, like a dog holding onto a bone. The sobers are happy, they'll ring it non-stop, for reasons that aren't always fair. Relentlessly keeping their nurse on the hop when they may be needed elsewhere. Now, we get that you're scared and need reassurance. This panic is merely a blip. So we're careful to hide how it tests our endurance, but honey, please, try and get a grip. Now, don't be offended by all the above, or the way that your type was addressed. Whichever you are, just know you're still loved. And remember, It's Nurse who knows best. Thank you. Like they say, you can lead a horse to water, but it won't drown itself. Now, well, I think that's the best handover I've ever done. I finished at 8. I think I'm accruing toil now. Yeah. That's me done. Right, well, I can see an empty chair there actually. I might stay and watch this show and see if it's any good. So, are we all up for it? Right. Have a good night.